No introduction this evening. No smiles. We just need to get right into it and make sure that we're good and we're broadcasting so that I can get into this. Hopefully, you have been checking out the conduit. If you haven't, do subscribe. At the conduit is where you can make sure that you never miss when we go live. There we go. Looking good. But the reason why I cover city council, Central Kitsap School District board meetings is many of us miss what's going on. And tonight, very frustrating. So let's get into this. And I just got done speaking about this the other day. This is from this evening, and this is a parent that is in the upper right-hand corner who is going to speak in regards to what's happening with his son. Now, he's a little low. What he's saying is back in October, he came to them. It's April. So he reached out, had conversations, and has not had any resolution. Just want to make sure that you can hear what he's saying here. Yeah, he's really low. Let's see if I can increase this here a little bit. So he's saying that he has reached out to administration, to the board, with no resolution. Okay. He's saying that they promised that there would be changes, that he was promised that there would be changes at the school. That they were going to address potential security breaches. And that after whatever they were going to put into place, then that would be articulated back out to the family. So they were never informed. They don't know if it's taken place or they're in limbo, right? Now again, this is months. School year is almost over. So what he's saying is that one of the resolutions was that the kids were gonna be issued badges, right? So no one, just anyone can walk into the school, which makes sense. All right. So what he's talking about here is his son was held at gunpoint. We're talking about Central Kitsap, CK. This isn't California, Philadelphia, DC, Chicago, Baltimore. This is Silverdale, Washington. So he's saying it's been 6 months, no resolution. And what little the school has done or the district has done to this point has had the opposite effect. Now you can watch this the school board meeting. It is in the description here. So what's happened now is his son, who's at the school, has been labeled a rat, a snitch, which, as you know, is dangerous. I just had a conversation about this a couple days ago. And we say, "Oh, not in our town." Right? That's the inner city. That's across the country. That's down south. So what we fail to realize is our ecosystem is global. The music they listen to, the social programming, doesn't matter where you're at, right? So they're going to mimic that behavior. They're going to take on those traits. Right? They don't just sag pants in one city, right? This permeates the culture. So it's here. So what he's saying is, hey, look, got to go to the authorities. It's the right thing to do, right? That's what we tell our folks that we need to do, right? We need to change the situation. So he's saying the school, the students who were involved, they've been suspended for the year. But what happens next year or the year after that? His son is still a student who only wants to go to high school, have a high school experience like every other kid should have, and graduate. Now listen to what his kid is going through. So he's saying his son is traumatized. He's been diagnosed with PTSD. He is feeling unsupported. It's been 6 months, no resolution. You have active parents that are here trying to advocate for their son. Oh, he's also having nightmares. Now, what type of child or what type of kid would they need to be in order for there to be resolution? And when this father came and spoke 6 months ago, I actually happened to be there. And I'm appalled that it's been a half a year, almost the entire school year, with no resolution. So what he's saying is, well, look, the kids are suspended, but his son is being threatened over social media through veiled threats, right? We can read between the lines. We know what's being said. We know what the intent is. And not only that, but, well, the kids that were suspended, they have friends. So they pass on messages directly at school. So imagine you go into class, you're just trying to get past it, and you've got their friends coming up and passing on threats. Now he's saying, look, we're willing to help. You have a father who is pleading for help for his son. Pleading for help.
We need another meeting with Craig Johnston. We need a meeting with Miles' teachers all at the same time. We need to know the other parents who were affected by the assailants. How do we know that our school's going to be protected? I heard a lot of talk earlier about our schools safe and sheriffs know what's going on. Do they? Please engage us.
So he ends it asking for, please engage us.
Wanted to make sure we had enough time.
Yeah.
Should not have to beg the school board for help for his son to go to school. You know, we'll have another conversation about this at another time. But we know the statistics and we say, hey, you know, we need our fathers, especially our Black fathers in our community, to be present in their children's life and to be an advocate. Well, here you have a Black father who is present and advocating for his son for 6 months with no resolution. Now, what I want to show you before I play, I believe this is the mother who comes up to speak also, is a snippet of what I was covering the other day. So if you're watching national news, then you know what's going on. And if you watched my broadcast the other day, I went into quite a bit of detail on it. So when we don't address these things, this is what tends to be the potential consequence of inaction. And I'm not sure how, if you're not in this school district and you have children here, that you're not fired up about this.
South Baltimore.
And you can say, how does it get worse when you already have a child dead?
I went to Jalen's mom and I said, your son threatened my son with a gun. My son is getting ready to turn 17. My son would really hurt your son.
It's a shame. This woman is speaking on the 12-year-old Jalen. She said that she warned his mother before all this even happened to him.
What made you go to his mom about what?
Because
Wait. So the 12-year-old Jalen, who was murdered, threatened her oldest son, who's 17, with a gun. She goes to Jalen's mother and says, hey, this is going on. And she'll tell you what the response was. Now I'm reflecting on this because at this point, it's, and I'm putting air quotes in here, it was just an armed robbery, right? Kid comes in, pulls out a gun, and robs his son at gunpoint. So at this point, it's just an armed robbery on school grounds. Now, this story here that I covered, kids getting bullied. He has no recourse. And you know what? Let me just play it. Her younger son, who's 12, is afraid, so he gets an Uzi. Why is this even a thing? And why have we allowed this to happen? Why have we allowed this to happen? And the excuses and the reasons, they don't help. Poverty, racism, whatever you want to put it on. These are things we know. It's a saying, when you know better, you do better. Clearly, we do not.
you know, these kids knocked my son out.
But things did not get better. They only escalated. One day, Hawkins says she got a call from her daughter who said Khalil had a gun at school.
I walked in there by myself and grabbed my son out of their school with an Uzi in his backpack.
Your son had a gun in his?
Yes, he went up to Douglas to shoot up like those kids. He was not playing.
So he takes a Uzi to school. Now, thank God she was able to go up to the school, get the gun from her son. But that could have been an active shooter situation, right? And very likely, other kids would have got hurt that had nothing to do with what was going on. Not that the ones that were bullying deserved to die. But teachers, other school employees, they probably would have got it too. Why? Because the child felt like, y'all don't give a damn about me. Y'all watching the stuff happen in the hall, in the classroom, and you don't do anything. I'm not protected anywhere. And if the cops that come up there and they hear, oh, he's got an Uzi. Tamir Rice, anyone? Because they're going to be afraid for their lives. But these kids and these parents live in perpetual fear. I literally just talked about this the day before yesterday. Now, this young man, he hasn't went out and got an Uzi, but the scenario is the same. That 12-year-old was being bullied. He was being beat up. He was knocked unconscious. He felt like he had no recourse. So he takes the Uzi to school. Well, he gets an Uzi. He's got it at school. The mother goes up and gets the Uzi. Now, there's several ways that this can play out. That is one scenario. The other scenario, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on there, so if anyone is feeling like they want to hurt themselves or someone else, there are resources 24/7, 365. You can call 888-910-0416 or go to imhurting.org. If this young black boy kills himself, will we be satisfied? If this young black boy is out at the mall or somewhere else and gets assaulted or worse, shot, will we be satisfied? Inaction is what we have here. If you want to make public comment, you can do that at CK School District. The public consent form is there for you. It is also in the description. I implore you to do so. I implore you to do so. And I also implore you to listen to the entire school board meeting, because apparently there was a coach who didn't have their contract renewed, and there were many parents, the ones who spoke, appear to be white passing, and they talked about how this was a great coach and they were able to get his job back. But not only were they able to get his job back, but they came to the school board to continue to let the board have it. And what they did was wrong. So this resolution was swift, quick, fast, in a hurry. But for 6 months, can you imagine? The damage that is compounding like interest on a daily basis because there's no resolution for the son, for the parents. Unacceptable. Superintendent Dr. Aaron Prince, phone number 360-662-1615. In the description are all the contact information for the school board.
Knocked him out and robbed him. All because he doesn't want to be in the gang.
Her son.
Like those kids, he was not playing. They knocked him out and robbed him.
Knocked him out. They didn't beat him up. They knocked him unconscious. Because he didn't want to be in the gang. I just want to go to school. I'm 12. I'm probably into Pokemon. I'm 12. So this is how it begins, right? So whether it's Baltimore or Chicago or Silverdale, there was an armed robbery on school grounds. And in 6 months, the parents have had no resolution. There's been no recompense. That family, the son can't even begin to heal. His grades are suffering. And he's likely to be forever changed from this experience. And tomorrow, I guess, is Empathy Day. Tokenism and platitudes do us no good.
All because he doesn't want to be in a gang.
Her son refusing to tell her where the gun came from. She turned it over to Baltimore police and moved her son to Hagerstown. But before uprooting the family, Hawkins says she tried to meet with several parents of kids who were having problems.
Out of these 16, 7 of them are gone now. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's a crisis. I don't know how else to look at it.
But not much was done. Hawkins describing a lack of interest from some parents in their kids' lives.
This is getting crazy, and I'm recognizing that the parents care more about going out to clubs, partying.
And shout out.
Wow. So I'm going to call out our parents here in this county. Do you have a kid in CK School District? I do. She's at the junior high now, and she's a legacy. So she's very likely to go to CK High School. But what is she going into? I'm calling on the programs that serve our Black children, whether or not he's in your program or not. Kitsap Black Student Union, our GEMS, our GENTS, Living Life Leadership. Anyone who serves our children needs to be advocating for this young man and his family. And I don't know what that looks like. You're the experts on it. I can't imagine how lonely and isolating it must feel for that father to feel like, man, I ain't got no support. I'm not getting any support from the school. I'm not getting any support from the board. And at this point, doesn't look like he's getting any support from the community. And I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Let's get into a little bit more of this.
Interviewing, and I want you to feel the gravity, the failure of my son. I want you to hold it, I want you to own it. He knew when he reported being held up at gunpoint.
This is the mother.
People involved.
She wants them to own it, to feel it. Quote, when my son was held up at gunpoint, maybe guess it's not a big deal, right? It's not your kid. However, had that ended in gunfire and your child who just happened to be in that vicinity gets shot, then you got something to say about it, right? Then you're pissed off. Now you want some action. And if anyone on that damn school board has children, I'm sure they would feel the same way. This pisses me off.
We're going to blame him and hold him accountable. He knew that, and he made that decision. He did the hard right thing. And he looked me in my eyes and told me he has seen no changes at school. He does not feel safe. He continues.
He does not feel safe. You know, our show on Friday night with Black women, they were talking about how they don't feel safe. Show I did earlier, the question was asked to me, do I feel safe? You have a child, doesn't feel safe, in high school, just trying to go to school. This wasn't in the street. This wasn't in the club. This wasn't wrong place, wrong time. This wasn't, he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. He was at school.
To be threatened through protected free speech, song lyrics that get put onto the internet, veiled threats put onto social media, kids at school passing along helpful reminders that they ran into so-and-so and they still intend on shooting you.
Right. So that's what I was saying earlier, right? That friends of theirs are talking to him in the hallway and saying, hey, you know, I talked to old boy and he still intends on shooting your ass when he gets a chance. Playing song lyrics that are alluding to getting killed or murdered or shot. This is being reported and nothing is happening. And parents, the parents are complicit. The conversation that I talked about the other day is in the description. You should play it. Because one of the ways that we can fix this quick, fast, and in a hurry is if your kid does something, you take on the same charges. I bet that behavior would tighten up real quick, wouldn't it? You don't want to be responsible for your kids' actions? Then raise them. But that would fix it, wouldn't it? This is Silverdale.
He has experiences, trauma, consistently reliving this over and over. Our country, we offer you thoughts and prayers. How can we not fix these problems? How can we not address the bullying? How can we continue to create situations where my kid can't even feel comfortable learning? Nothing. Nothing.
She said it all right there. So many times. Our Black children, especially our Black boys. But it doesn't matter who you are. White brothers and sisters also get murdered, and it's thoughts and prayers. She's absolutely 100% correct. It's thoughts and prayers. And if something happens, what is the board going to do? What's the superintendent going to do? Thoughts and prayers. You have my sincerest condolences. And I'm sure they'll be sincere as hell. And there'll be condolences, but that's all they will be. When something could have been done. When something should have been done. The damage is continuing. And all it is thoughts and prayers.
Do I need to go buy my kid a bulletproof sweatshirt so he can feel comfortable going to school?
Now, she just said, should I go and buy my son a bulletproof sweatshirt? What the 12-year-old boy did in Baltimore is he went and he got a Uzi. Because eventually, people get tired of being bullied. And when there's no place to go, when there's no support, when it's clear that no one gives a damn about you. And while my parents love me, and they're advocating for me, they can't get any resolution or any help or assistance for me. What do? I could take my own life, I could strike back, or I could just continue to take it. 3 options. Does he have another? And none of them are good. But we're okay as long as none of his choices affect us or the ones that we care about. Right? If he takes himself out, oh, it's a tragedy. If he continues to have PTSD and trauma into his adulthood, it's all good. But should he say, I've had enough? Should they come and retaliate and stray bullets and everything else ensues? Now that affects you. Whether it's homelessness or anything else, we put a blind eye to this stuff until it becomes an issue that affects us directly. And then we want resolution. Parents should be pissed off tonight. Parents should be pissed off tonight. And while a coach didn't have his contract renewed, he wasn't fired, he just didn't have his contract renewed. Those parents fought like hell to get him reinstated into his position. I don't hear any of that for a child who was robbed at gunpoint in school. I just want you to look at the body language of the board. The one in the yellow here on the end just looks bored. Like, come on, get over with your 3 minutes. It's late. I want to go home. This is offensive as hell.
He doesn't feel comfortable joining other groups. He's silenced. He's silenced. He's marginalized. So, you received a gift. Your policies and practices and procedures and safety measures were tested. Nobody was physically harmed. Emotionally, my kid is destroyed, continues to be destroyed. Are you going to take advantage of what you've been offered as a gift and fix the solutions? Or are you going to wait until it gets worse the next time and offer people thoughts and prayers?
Thank you.
Again, let's be real. Let's be real, Black community. Is it hard for you to come and show support because the mother's white? We know that's an issue in our community. Is that the problem? If it was a Black mother, would it be easier for you to come up and stand up for the Black father and the Black son? BIPOC community, the indigenous and people of color, I need you to be up at arms just as much as those parents were, just as much as you want us to be for your issues. White folks, we need you to do the same. This affects us all. This affects all of our children. This isn't Baltimore. This isn't DC. It's not Philadelphia. It's not California. Again, Central Kitsap School District Public Comment Forum is there for you to access. Superintendent Dr. Aaron Prince, 360-662-1615. And again, if you need help, 888-910-0416 or go to imhurting.org. 24/7 chat line is open for you, your friends, and your family. To the family that is going through this, if someone knows them directly, you can pass on my information. We need to follow up on this. We need to make sure that something happens. We need to make sure that this young man begins to heal, begins to feel safe. This is a small town. This is a small community. We need the adults in the other children's lives to step up and be responsible. You know, a lot of times people know who they can pick on. But one day you might pick on the wrong one. What's worse? It's already been an armed robbery, right? There's already a gun involved. So if the police get called in response to the kids that pulled the gun, they have to go in with a heightened awareness. And do they become a statistic? Whatever the societal issues are, whatever the systemic issues are, yes, I acknowledge all those things are true. But at the same time, there is an accountability and there is work that we have to do as a community.